recording. I'm gonna try to get it, and at the same time I'm gonna take some notes. So if anything doesn't work, can you Google Doc? There we go. Right. So Jacob Finn and the Nintendo Labo. All right. So you're a web engineer, that's right?
Yeah, I'm a software engineer doing mostly Java backend for web e-commerce sites.
Excellent. So software engineer, excellent. So when you started the Nintendo Switch video, what came to mind?
Well, that's a very broad question. I mean, I guess my first thoughts were, what is this crazy thing Nintendo's doing now? But I mean, I think it's a very effective ad, and really gets the imagination going. Just peripherals, right? There's something about peripherals. Ever since the Nintendo Power Glove, there's something right attractive about having some kind of more physical, more sort of real world interaction with your games than just the thumbs on the controller. And I think this is a really cool way to engage that. My next thought was, how much are they charging for all this cardboard?
From what I understand,
Sorry?
when you get the bundle, like the game, they're gonna give you the cardboard, and if you want to get some more cardboard, they're gonna charge something for it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't. I don't know, all the details, but that was one of my thoughts.
Speaking about cardboard, like, do you think it's a good materials to do all these things?
Well, for this, sure, because it's cheap. I mean, if they were going to make all these same things out of like plastic, obviously it'd be a lot more durable. But I think part of the fun is actually building it yourself. And so if it's not cardboard, what's it going to be? I think it makes a lot of sense. And then you can find your own cardboard easily enough to reproduce the templates and whatever. Obviously it's not going to be super durable and it's going to break it, but like I said, you can just make it again, and that's part of the fun.
Nice. And like, do you think that the fact it's cardboard is actually a good way to child-proof the product?
How do you mean?
Well, think about it. Like, if you buy
What do you mean by child-proof?
If you buy an expensive piece of plastic and then the child sit on it, or they break it, it's gonna be expensive. But for cardboard, like, if they break it, you're like, meh, just gonna recycle it and then go to
right. No, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And with so many, you see like a dozen different little gizmos in that commercial. And any parent knows that any one of those is going to be interesting for a day, maybe, and then your kid's going to forget about it. But if it's just cardboard, then it's okay to go through them quickly. And then the ones that stick and are, really catch the child's attention, stick around, and you can make them again and again, as whenever they break.
Sweet. Anything else about the cardboard?
No.
No. This is mostly speculative, but I read somewhere that one of the lab with software will come with with a software that will allow you to build your own thing, your own stuff, and actually design your own real world application for it. Like, do you think it's going to be very popular?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think that's probably the most brilliant thing about it. Assuming that that's a direction that they go with it. Because you've got, gaining popularity right now is the maker sort of movement, culture, ideas, whatever, especially with, enabled by 3D printing. A lot of, and of course, more and more young adults are tech savvy and, you know, maybe use, are capable of writing code, even if that's not their occupation. Um, uh, and that's where it can really explode because any platform you take a look at where that kind of thing is made possible, um, the community, the consumers create way more content than the company ever does. If you take a look at Minecraft and all the mods, and Minecraft is, really big with the, kids
Oh,
these
that's
days.
interesting.
Um, but all the mods for that are, created, and of course the game itself is about creating on your own. So I think that could easily translate into similar sort of success for this kind of product where, you know, I could easily imagine, people fiddling around with this, creating their own things, could come up with 10 times as many, as cool or more interesting applications. And of course, all it takes is a template and you cut it out of some cardboard that you found, um, according to the instructions of whoever made it. Um, that I think that's probably where the real staying power for something like this comes from.
I like this. I like this. I think this is where the real staying power comes from. That kind of thing. I really like this sentence, and I think I'm even gonna get it into bold.
All right.
Oops. Wrong button. Because we're gonna make like some visual gizmos and everything. So having like the Jacob quote inserted in the middle of the text would be amazing. So as a software engineer, um, I'm pretty sure you kind of have your mind boggling with crazy ideas of stuff that could be done with that.
Not particularly. I haven't really thought much about what could you do with it. I just know that, you know, I'm sure that there's a lot you could. Um, one of the coolest things shown in the video is the robot thing, right? With the string connected to your hands and feet, feeding into the control on your back, so that you can. I mean, that's almost what virtual reality is about, right? You don't have the goggles, but being able to
Actually, you can have
punch and kick
you can have
in
the
the game
goggles.
by moving your arms and legs.
There-
That's like one of the ultimate video game fantasies, I feel like. But I don't think I've really got a whole lot of ideas for things that are not in the video. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of, sort of jumping off points. They show the piano, and you could make probably a whole lot of different musical instruments and following similar um, concepts. Um, and of course, a lot of them are just, sort of one-off peripherals, right? You got the fishing pole, right? Well, you can play a fishing game with that. Okay, that's nice, but it's not a whole lot of potential there. But any kind of game where if you were doing the real thing, you would have a particular piece of equipment. You can now make that out of cardboard and control the game with that.
Okay.
So that's obviously another, kind of easy. The hard part of that, of course, is the game. But if you've got a game that you want to have a cool controller for, now you can use this to make it up.
Nice. Speaking of instrument, you give me a good idea. Do you think there will be like orchestras with Nintendo Switches and Labos?
I mean, someone will probably manage to do that just for the fun of it. I don't think it's a good way to make quality music, but it's definitely a good way to learn how instruments work, maybe. Though, I mean, the piano is not really going to teach you how a piano works, other than you press the keys and music comes out. But, making the thing and the challenge of making the instruments that you want to use would definitely draw people for sure. So someone will do it, but I don't think it would be common. And probably not a whole orchestra. I don't know how you'd do it. Like a stringed instrument like a violin or a guitar would be tough to do. With that way. The piano's got discrete keys that you press for different notes. So you could do like a flute that way, right? Wind instruments, woodwinds probably. Though in brass with a more limited range because it can't really, tell which octave you're playing or
Yeah, you
whatever.
can replicate how you
But,
position your
things that
mouth.
you would control with your lips. But you could, do have like a trumpet type thing that would probably give you an octave's worth of range that you could play around on.
You touched on the VR a bit earlier, and I don't know if you noticed, but in the video, there's actually a shot where you see the person with the VR headset strapped to his head, and
Oh, I didn't notice that.
yeah, so apparently it's gonna support VR as well, especially for the robot game. And the first question I asked myself is, well, does the Nintendo Switch is a Nintendo Switch actually strong enough to support VR?
That's a good question. I don't have an answer for you. I don't know what the specs are. I know it's a much lighter technologically than the Xbox and the PlayStation of the current generation. But I mean, you could have not going to support super high resolution, but I suppose they can manage to do it at some level.
Like, are you well versed in how VR works?
No,
Okay.
I wouldn't say I'm well versed. I don't. I don't know that there's a whole lot to it, basically, but maybe that just reveals my ignorance. You basically just have to have two, rendering two screens, one in each eye.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I know.
Okay, yeah. I hear it takes a lot of like very small and thin screens to have a good image. So even like the strongest computers are having a lot of difficulties trying to make it work. So
Mm.
I was really curious to see like
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know what kind of resolution you really need.
yeah.
And of course, the pixel density of the screen would have nothing to do with the computer, but would still something that drives up the cost.
Sweet. I think honestly, I think I've got a lot of good answers about that. Just before we leave, like just to make sure that it's not only about promoting the Nintendo Switch. Like, what are your the things that you might dread about the project, or things you think might not be good or might not work well, or Any reservations about it?
I'm sorry. Could you take the first part of the question again? This is about the Switch or about this cardboard stuff?
The Labo stuff.
Uh-huh.
Like, do you have any reservations about the Labo concept? Do you think it's gonna be as good as everyone says, or you think that like what are the shortcomings of the project?
Well, I don't know. I don't actually know how good people are saying it will be. And of course, anything new like this, and it's really quite what's the word I'm looking for? Ambitious. So who knows? Um, I it certainly could suffer from, poor implementation. If the things in the box don't work particularly well, like, you know, the piano has a tendency for one or two of your keys to not work very well just based on, how the cardboard fits, or, um, some piece of it is just breaks easily or something. Those are the kinds of things you could see going wrong. Um, but just as I said, I think the real power of it is in enabling the community to create with it, failing to provide the proper support tools and things to allow people to create with it easily and well. Um, you know, could certainly be a downfall. Um, and then, it's possible that people are just, it looks really cool on the commercial, but turns out the consumer, wider consumer interest just isn't there. Who knows? I'm certainly no expert in the industry.
Well, I think that pretty much makes a good pretty good roundabout on the subject. I have some good questions, some excellent answers as usual. And there we go. Everything is done. So the project is saved. So thank you, Jacob, for answering the questions.
Sure, you're welcome.
Yes, and I'll make sure to link you the article if it ever gets posted.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks.
All right, see ya.